Good morning, viewers. Well, in case you don't realize it, it is Monday morning, about almost 5:30 in the morning. I actually just got off work. I had to record the fight, so I wasn't one of the lucky ones that got to sit around and watch the fight night Austin. Well, pretty good card. I recorded it, just got through watching it. Let's get to the results. First fight. Sage Northcutt versus Thibault Gouti. Never heard of the guy. Obviously he's making his debut. Pretty tough fight for Sage. He's still young. I think he's gonna do pretty well later on in his career. All three judges had it his side. The first two rounds were really close. It's kind of hard to say. Where he goes from now, he's with Team Alpha Male, so obviously his wrestling is going to get way better. He's a karate guy. So now that he's with Team Alpha Male, obviously it's getting a lot better. With that said, he needs, at 155, he's pretty big, strong guy. Needs to step up in competition. I think for his next fight, he should probably fight maybe like Francisco Trinaldo. We're going to talk about him later anyway. I think it'd be a good fight for him. Trinaldo literally, he's coming off a loss now, but he's a big name. He's been in the UFC a long time. He's pretty well established. He'll be able to really test if Sage is really that good on the ground, or hey, maybe Sage needs to just keep growing. All right, let's see. Next up, we had a featherweight bout. It's Steven Peterson versus Brandon Davis. They got fight of the night. It was a pretty good 3 rounds. It's pretty basically Peterson just kind of plotting in, trying to get some shots off. Brandon Davis kind of just moving out the way, just picking them apart. Definitely more the polished strikers, Brandon Davis. Peterson was trying to make it a brawl the best he could. Yeah, that's pretty much what you can say about that fight. I mean, very entertaining. It's definitely Peterson making it entertaining. Then in the 3rd round, he freaking got hit with a sick knee. And, this knee would have probably KO'd most people. Maybe it was the tattoo on his chest. He's got a big old Superman tattoo. Maybe that's what kept him up. I don't know, but you never know. Jimmy Smith said it best. The only way you're going to take him out is if you have kryptonite in your glove. Obviously, it's not possible, but definitely makes you wonder. So those were the two kind of I guess to kick the main card off. They could have been interchangeable. It didn't matter which one was first. Really, it was just these last 3 fights is really what made the card. There was a couple pretty good fights on the prelims, some good finishes. Not too well known with quite a few of them. I'm going to do a little bit of research on the guy who kicked off. He fought, I don't remember his name, but he had him a quick knockout. That was pretty good. And then the Sanchez versus Sanchez fight, I want to say his name was Ernesto. He got Joby Sanchez in a rear naked choke, which that surprised me. I thought Joby would have picked up that victory, but it didn't go his way. So we'll see him around again, though, because pretty good up-and-comer. Well, anyways, next fight on the main card. I was actually kind of thrown off by this. Curtis Millender, I guess he's got a lot of hype. Quite a few knockouts on the regional scene. Catching his first fight in the UFC, and he's tasked with trying to take on Thiago Alves. Now, Thiago Alves has been around a long time. Obviously, since USADA's been around, there's been a big difference. He had some injuries, and then when he came back, obviously, you could just tell. Not saying he was on anything, but his body shows otherwise, Still, crazy freaking talented guy. Literally, probably never get cut from the UFC. He'll probably can fight out his whole time. It's definitely on the decline of his career, but nonetheless, he's dangerous. His leg kicks, his just sheer power that he has in his strikes. He can knock anybody out on any given night. So he's always dangerous. I really thought Taco Bell Alves would have kept it, I guess, been more competitive, because Curtis Millender kind of really just picked him apart, almost finished him in the first round. He probably could have, but he decided, oh, I'm a showboat, and he dropped him, and then he tried to showboat and say that he won, but the ref didn't step in, so then he tried to close the deal. Just didn't work out, ended up making it to the bell. But in the second round, just seemed like Alves kind of got the cobwebs off, and then really actually started landing his leg kicks and started kind of landing a few punches, and it was looking to be a pretty good fight. I actually thought Curtis was slowing down for a minute, but that turned out not to be the case. He was really just being very patient and just picking his shots. Catches Alves with a knee, drops him, and again, basically just almost like a Mark Hunt-esque freaking walk-off knockout. Basically dropped him with the knee and put his hands up. He said, hey, it's done. The ref stepped in. Definitely pretty excited to see Curtis Millender now. I really didn't know who he was before, but I'm actually a fan now. I'm actually going to have to go look at all his fights now. I know he's got a few head kick knockouts on the regional scene, so hey, I'm going to have to go check those out now. Definitely a guy to look after here in the welterweight division. Is long, rangy. He almost has a John Jones style a little bit, where he kind of keeps his hands out a little bit, wide stance, but just he's gonna be a problem for a lot of people. Hopefully he gets another win or two and does them impressive. I think him and Darren Till would be a phenomenal fight. Obviously, Darren Till's a great striker. He claims to be the best striker in the UFC. So, that being said, once he gets another fight, he's fast-tracked to the title if he can get himself another win or two. So if Curtis can hurry up and get a couple more wins in, he could be knocking on the door of Darren Till, and that could almost be a title eliminator probably in another year. So that would be that'd be almost like a dream fight to have those two, because the patience of Millender and then Darren Till. So it's like to see that. And they're both strikers, so you don't have to worry about the takedown. So it'd be exciting for a lot of people that aren't even huge fans of the sport. So, next up for UFC Austin. Man, here we go. We got James the Texecutioner Vick versus Francisco Trinaldo. As I already said before, I think Sage and Trinaldo should fight. Trinaldo actually ended up getting decision. He lost the decision. He's another one with the USADA, man. Came in, changed the aspect of how people look and everything. So, that being said, I think everything's getting more technical. I actually like the sport a lot more now. But also, I didn't mind the Pride days when everybody was on something, so those are pretty exciting times. There's no reason not to like those either. It's actually a really tough fight for Vick. I was actually thought he would be a little bit more dominant. I mean, all three judges had it for him. I believe it was 29-28, could be wrong. But I definitely, James Vick is top 10 in lightweight. He's been in the UFC a while now. He's now 9-1. There's not too many people in the lightweight division with a record like his. He's saying all these people are dodging fights with him. Well, I think his next fight should be against Donald Cerrone, which we'll get to him later on because he was in the main event. He's been fighting at 170, but he wants to go back to 155. James Vick wants a challenge. I don't think Donald Cerrone's ranked right now at 155 because he's been at 170. That'd be a good fight. Find out who's going to be in the top 5. So, and then, I mean, shoot, if Cowboy can stop James Vick, then that will establish him already one win away from a title shot at 155, just for how impressive James Vick has been. So next up, the co-main event. Derek, the Black Beast, Lewis versus Marcin Tybura. Definitely looked like Derek Lewis was on his way to lose a decision. I mean, it was pretty close first 2 rounds. I kind of had it Derek first round. I think Tybura had the second round. Third round came out. Tybura's bouncing around. He's on his feet. He's moving. Definitely the fresher man going into the third round. But like any heavyweight fight, you never know what's going to happen. The power just is always there. Derek Lewis was able to connect with a nice little combo, drop Tybura, and finish him off. So, in his home state, Derek Lewis got the KO victory in the third round. Very entertaining guy. His post-fight speech was pretty funny. I guess he told his wife to get ready, so he's always got something crazy to say. He wants to fight Verdum or Francis, or I don't remember the other person that he named. It wasn't in his post-fight speech. It was later on in the conference. But all those would be pretty good fights. I mean, he's definitely in the top 5 heavyweights. He needs to definitely about 2 more good wins, and he could be knocking on the door for a title shot. So I can see him and Francis. Winner of that gets Verdum. I mean, makes sense. So, all right, let's moving on to the main event. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Yancy Medeiros. All right. I don't think Yancy should have taken this fight. His last fight, he fought the other cowboy, the Alex Oliveira, the Brazilian cowboy. Took a lot of shots in there. He did win by 3rd round knockout, but the punishment that he took in that fight, I do not think that he had enough time to recover before he was back in here fighting another elite striker in Cowboy, Cerrone. And obviously, he just couldn't hold up. I mean, Cerrone's definitely a smaller man at 170. So the type of hits that Yancy is used to taking from bigger men didn't take him out. And the fact that Cowboy was able to, I think it contributes to taking fights too soon. I mean, he took this was a short notice fight, basically. Good for Cowboy. I think he was on like a 4-fight losing streak. He's been wanting to go back to 155. That's what his next fight was supposed to be, but they called on him for this. And of course, you know Cowboy, he's just anytime, any place, he's ready to go. So he showed up and had his back against the wall, and he came through with it. He got a 1st-round knockout right at the buzzer, basically. It was like 458, maybe, something like that, 457. So close. Like, Yancy even joked around after. He said that he wished Mario Yamasaki was there, because Mario Yamasaki would have not stepped in. He would just let the buzzer go, and he would have been able to come out to the 2nd round, and he thinks that things would have been different. So, pretty funny. I'm glad the ref stepped in. I don't think he needs to be taking the punishment that he was taking, especially with fights so close to each other. After the fight, he hopped the cage and was talking to Donald Cerrone's grandma. I guess Yancy gave Donald Cerrone a cowboy hat with a little Hawaiian stuff on it at the weigh-ins. So now Donald Cerrone's grandma wants to do something nice for him, get his address, I guess. Donald said that she wants to send him like a bronze statue or something. And I don't know, I guess they really like each other. They're pretty good friends now. I don't know. But it's good to be back in the win column for Cowboy. He was on a, like I said, 3 or 4-fight losing streak. Now he needs to go back to 155, and he says he wants to go for a title. He definitely not gonna get a title shot right off the bat. He says he wants Khabib next. I don't see that likely, nor is that a good matchup for him, but you can never count him out. So my choice for him was, like I said, James Vick. I mean, I think James Vick's ranked like number 12 at lightweight. He should definitely be in the top 10. Nobody in the top 10 wants to fight him. So, another long, rangy guy. I mean, I think James Vick's like 6'3". At 155, he's the tallest lightweight in the UFC right now. So, I think Cowboy and Vick can probably main event another fight night. And that'll basically put them one fight away from a title shot. Winner of that gets one more fight, and if they win that should put them in line for a title. So we could see Vick or Cowboy fighting for a title probably by the end of the year. I mean, anything's possible now, because I mean a lot of times it doesn't even go by rankings anymore. So it can be anytime. Like, who knows? If the chips fall right, Khabib or Tony fall out, they might just throw Cowboy in there. I mean, he's a big name, definitely has a draw. So, or Nate Diaz was on the sidelines. That's Yancy's boy. Maybe they do a Cerrone Diaz too. I don't think anybody would argue that. So, those are another option. Let's get to the bonuses. Curtis Millender obviously got a performance bonus for taking out Thiago Alves. Derek Lewis got a performance bonus for taking out Marcin Tybura. And they gave fight of the night to Davis and Peterson. I am pretty surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, it was basically a brawl, but I think the one round of Cerrone and Medeiros outdid the whole fight of Peterson and Davis. But at the same time, Peterson and Davis ain't making the kind of money that Cerrone's making. So it's good to see them giving it to the undercard guys that aren't making as much money. So that's definitely helping them out a lot. I mean, they take a lot of punishment. They should probably all make more money, obviously. So getting the bonuses are like a huge deal to these undercard guys. Basically, I mean, it's making the bonus is more than their fight and win purse together. So, I mean, obviously that's pretty amazing to almost quadruple your salary for the year off of one fight if you get a bonus for these undercard guys. All right, so that's it for the Fight Night Austin results for the main card. And like I said, we kind of touched on the prelims, but not too much. I mean, like I said, I wasn't home. I recorded the fights, just watched them. That's my take on them. But Saturday, February 24th, we're 5 days away now. You got Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens taking on Josh Emmett in Orlando, Florida, which is my backyard. I'm right here in Central Florida. It's a pretty good fight card. You got, like I said, Stevens and Emmett in the main event. Your co-main is Jessica Andrade versus the Tiny Tornado, Tisha Torres, which that's going to be a barn burner for a female fight. Then you got OSP taking on Ilir Latifi. If OSP can stay standing, I'm pretty sure he's going to probably catch a first-round knockout. That's my prediction on that. And then on the first fight of the main card, you got Mike Platinum Perry versus Max Griffin. I don't know too much about Max Griffin. Obviously, Mike Perry's becoming a pretty well-known guy, definitely a fan favorite. Very exciting guy to watch. Definitely probably going to be in the UFC a long, long time. Even if he loses, he's exciting, he's entertaining. Sometimes it's not even about wins and losses. Obviously, like Donald Cerrone says, it's not wins and losses. It's if you're entertaining, you're going to be around. And if you're willing to fight, that's what's going to happen. And Mike Perry's always down for a scrap. So that's probably going to be fight of the night. If it's not a quick knockout because Mike Perry hits so hard, then he's willing to take a hit to give a hit. So my prediction on that is probably second round knockout for Mike Perry. But we're gonna break down all these fights later on this week before the actual fight card on Saturday. So, all right, look for my next video to come out probably, I'm looking at like Wednesday or Thursday. So, all right, guys, take it easy.